Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, How to Develop a Successful Marketing Strategy with Instagram Stories. Thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha from Digiday, and I'll be your moderator. Today's webinar is sponsored by Marin. We're joined today by Jamil Harrelson, Product Growth Manager at Facebook, and Farah Shawani, Senior Product Marketing Manager at Marin Software. Jamil is a Product Growth Manager for GMS Partnerships at Facebook, where he focuses on driving Instagram and Stories innovation and adoption with Facebook's ecosystem of third-party marketing developers. Prior to working on product growth at Facebook, Jamil was a product marketing manager at Zynga, a mobile gaming tech company. Farah is the senior product marketing manager in Marin's Austin office. She's responsible for driving demand and usage of Marin One, developing positioning, messaging, and competitive differentiation. She also enables the sales and marketing teams to ensure they're aligned and working efficiently to generate and close opportunities. A question and answer period will follow the presentation, so please stay with us until the end. Feel free to submit questions at any time via the GoToWebinar platform. Everyone who registered for today's webinar will also receive an email with a recording of the session tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's get started. Jamil, take it away.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Jamil Harrelson. I am on our Global Marketing Solutions Partnerships team here at Facebook, and I focus primarily on Instagram ads and then stories across the family of apps and services. It's a pleasure to speak to you all today. So let's talk a little bit agenda-wise what we'll discuss within this webinar. I do want to start off with broad-based context around different trends that we're seeing on the Instagram platform as a whole. But I also want to talk about what we're seeing from our newest placement in our largest inventory growth, which is around stories. The trends we're seeing on stories from both a consumer and business standpoint, but also innovation that we'll be driving on stories in the next few months. And then I want to wrap it up with our cross-platform media buying and creative best practices. We're moving into a world of multiple platforms and multiple placements. And I want to talk about what are the best practices for buying media, not just for Instagram, but across the family of apps and services to drive the best possible ROI. So let's jump right in. Everything is different now. Instagram is a new emerging platform that is derived around visual discovery, connecting with friends, but also discovering new likes and interests. We've expanded to different formats within the Instagram family, but the primary thing is this is home to visual expression, whether it's in your feed or in new placements like Instagram Stories. This is where people come to express themselves and also interact with their favorite brands and services. Let's talk about the origins and the evolution of Instagram. Back in 2010, Instagram was a picture-only placement. And the aspect ratio was square. It was only for pictures to share amongst your friends and family. Then in 2013, we introduced video, which allowed people to show more immersive experiences and capture more of their moments. Then in 2016, we launched what is called Stories, which is a full screen immersive visual experience. And then recently, we've launched things like Instagram TV, as well as Instagram Shopping. So the platform has continuously evolved over time based on the needs and research on our consumers. We're at about 1 billion monthly active accounts. This is an extreme amount of growth and consumer adoption that we've seen on the Instagram platform, and this will only continue to grow over time. People are using Instagram often, and this is across multiple demographics, particularly from an age standpoint. We see a wide swath of people leveraging the Instagram platform, as this is something that is for a diverse array of people across different age groups, regions, backgrounds, etc. So people use Instagram in a variety of ways, and I'll talk about that now. Globally, people surveyed say they use Instagram for the following reasons. One, is it allowed to connect with family and friends? Two, this allows them to interact with their favorite celebrities and tastemakers, and also interact with influencers, people who are moving the culture forward across different industries. Influencers are a big part of the Instagram platform. But most importantly, Instagram is a platform to interact with your favorite brands and services. And finally, Instagram allows our consumers to stay up to date on trends, as Instagram is a platform where different cultures are being pushed forward in different industries. So people embrace businesses. Nearly 2 in 3 people surveyed said Instagram is a place that enables interactions with brands. 50% are more interested in a brand when they see ads for it in Instagram. And then 80% of people on Instagram actually follow a business or service. And this allows businesses to connect at every phase of the consumer journey. 83% discover new products and services on Instagram. 81% research products or services. And 80% decide whether to buy a product or service. So this is definitely a platform for discovery, for research, for finding new things and new interests. So let's talk about what happens after someone sees a product or service on Instagram. So online, 79% search for more information. 65% actually visited the brand's website or app. 46% actually made a purchase. And that's just online. Let's talk about offline. So offline, 37% have visited a retail store in which they've discovered. 31% have followed the brand's account online. And 29% have actually went out and talked to their friends and family about that brand or experience. But really want to focus on the future of the Instagram platform, particularly from an ads buying standpoint, which is going to be around Instagram stories. Let's talk about consumer shifts as a whole. We all remember the shift from desktop to handheld, and a lot of the things that we had to help our advertisers and clients understand is what are the best practices for that shift? And how can partners like Marin help advertisers understand those nuances? We've seen it from television to mobile video, which is a large trend right now. But what we're seeing in the here and now, and where we really want to make sure advertisers understand best practices, is on this shift from a feed-based environment to a vertical immersive stories environment, and understanding what are the best practices around creative and media buying, but also what makes this format and placement unique. People love Instagram stories. It's a full screen, playful, but it's also ephemeral. If you think of the user behavior for feed versus stories, in feed, there's a lot of pressure to be at your best self, to be highly curated. Whereas with stories, it's ephemeral. It disappears within 24 hours, and you can feel more comfortable sharing your everyday self with your friends and families. Another thing is it's authentic. You're capturing your everyday moments in quick snackable bites, but it's also interactive as we talk about some of the things like polling and AR, VR. Instagram Stories has been one of our fastest growing placements at FB Inc. When we launched back in August of 2016, within a few months, we reached 100 million daily actives. And then as of this year, we're now at 500 million daily active people just on Instagram Stories. So let's talk about how people are actually engaging with the stories placement. 50% of Instagram stories viewed are actually video. 60+% of stories are posts with sound on. So this allows you to tell traditional narratives with the sound on environment. And then one of the amazing things about stories is that 1 in 3 stories gets a direct message. So if I'm a brand and I post an organic post and people want to learn more, we're seeing a lot of people actually reaching out to that brand via direct and saying, how can I buy? How can I learn more? So why do stories matter for businesses like yourself? So we talked about consumer shifts a little earlier, And usually consumer shifts happen first, and then businesses have to understand best practices and then embrace that. I think this is the opportunity for not only partners like Marin, but for businesses like yourself to understand that this consumer shift is happening. And now you need to go to where the consumers are going and begin to understand best practices and experiment and test using stories as a format. So, as we talked about this first mover advantage in this consumer shift, this is a great opportunity to stress that you should not miss this opportunity. 1/3 of the most viewed stories are actually from businesses. And 50% of businesses on Instagram have created a story in a month. But let's talk about the evolution of stories and what innovation looks like. We talked earlier about what are the superpowers of stories as a format. And one of those superpowers is interactivity. Interactivity allows consumers to interact with the story in a way that's immersive. And we're bringing that out as an ad unit that's in market now, which is polling and Instagram stories. So interactivity as a concept is just a way to bring more engagement and bring people even close, whether that's from discovery, response, all the way to participation within a polling unit, which is what we're going to talk about more. So 60% of businesses on Instagram stories use an interactive element each month. And as you can see from these visual examples, you can, on the organic side, embed more than just polls, but also questions. But from an ad side, the first interactive unit that we're rolling out is going to be the polling unit. But for organic brands and as well as consumers, there are a multitude of interactive units that you can leverage within an organic post. So let's talk about interactivity in Instagram Stories ads. This is something that we've rolled out in March, and now brands and advertisers are able to do ad objectives around the polling ad. So you can embed a polling question and then really understand how people are engaging with that question and what the response rate is. You can reach your audience with ads that are engaging and native to the organic experience, but it also encourages people to watch your ad a little longer as they're waiting for the polling question to come up and respond. Within our small beta, 9 out of 10 campaigns saw increased 3-second video views, which means this is driving longer completion rates. 20% also have seen a lower cost per video view. So if you look at the Dunkin' Donuts example, this is a great creative execution as it keeps the polling unit directly within the creative for the full time, and then shows the juxtaposition between donuts and fries and allows people to begin to do a poll and respond there. And this is a great signal for a brand or advertiser to understand like what within my product offering are consumers really excited about. On the direct response side, we saw 40% more app installs, and I'm going to show you this example from the gaming vertical. So as you can see, creative best practice, it has the split screen and says which one would you rather take down, armored or heavy, with the swipe below to install the mobile app. Great creative execution that also drives engagement for a new game that's launching. So we've talked a lot about Instagram as a platform. We talked about stories as the placement where we're seeing a lot of daily actives and continued growth there, and as the next frontier of consumer interaction. We also talked about the superpower of stories, which is interactivity, and the new ad unit that we've rolled out around polling. But let's talk about how to get the most efficient outcomes based on your media spend. And I'm going to talk a lot about what we call automatic placements. And that's the ability to use our front end to buy across all of the placements from the Facebook family of apps and services, and get the most efficient ROI by allowing our back end to deliver to the placements where your audience exists with the best possible probability of driving the outcome, whether that outcome is a mobile app install, a website click, or even just brand engagement. Every placement is an opportunity to connect. In the early days, Facebook was just around Facebook feed and the big blue app. But then we rolled out Instagram feed. Then we rolled out Instagram stories. Then we rolled out Messenger. Then we rolled out Audience Network. We're constantly rolling out new ad inventory and new placements, which means we need to simplify the buying experience so that advertisers can have an easy experience and get the best ROI possible. So, automatic placements is the ability to have an opt-out experience when you go into Ads Manager, where every single placement within our family of apps and services is checked. You set your ad objective and your targeting, and then our back-end delivery system delivers to the placements based on where we expect to have the best possible outcome, thus driving the best possible ROI for our advertisers. Before I get into more details, I just want to talk about the impact of automatic placements. We've seen advertisers that have run campaigns leveraging our proprietary automatic placement system have seen 2.1x in lift, 71% lower cost per conversions, and then for brand advertisers, 7% more reach. So when we talk about what is automatic placements and what is liquidity across all of our placements, as I said earlier, we have a multitude of placements: Audience Network, Messenger, the big blue Facebook app feed, and Instagram stories, amongst many, many others. So how do we enable advertisers like yourself to buy this seamlessly? By leveraging automatic placements, you get the best ROI possible. So this is very much an efficiency play for our advertisers. Lower cost per outcomes, simpler campaign management, but also expanding your reach. So when you're only spending media on Facebook feed or Instagram feed, and you're not checking the box for all our other placements, you're losing reach and you're also losing ROI efficiency, which is why it's critical to stay opted in at all times across all placements. So let's talk about how it works. The way automatic placements works is this helps you to drive the lowest cost per outcome. Our backend algorithm knows, based on your targeting parameters and your objectives, which placements they should deliver to find pockets of efficiency based on our backend predictive algorithms to give you the highest ROI possible. And as you can see, when you begin to combine these campaigns, your cost per conversion and cost per click begin to decline. This is why this is considered one of our media buying best practices, and is something that we are definitely pushing our advertisers to take advantage of. However, you should definitely take the time to think about how do you test and learn to find the best placement strategy. So as I said earlier, there are a multitude of placements that are only going to continue to grow over time as we roll out advertising buying for new things like Instagram TV, shopping, etc. So this number of available placements that you see here now is only going to get larger and larger, which is why leveraging automatic placements is going to make it simpler for advertisers as possible, where you let us do the heavy work on the back end, set your creative, and then let everything take care of itself to get the maximum ROI. So how do you get started? When you go into Ads Manager, all placements should automatically be selected for you. So this is very much an opt-out experience. Or you could go into edit placements if you want to remove certain placements that you're not comfortable with running in the meantime. However, we've also rolled out the ability to customize your creative at every single placement. So why would someone want to customize creative across every placement? Well, each placement has its own unique consumer behavior and interaction behavior. So if I'm a brand, I want to have custom creative for Instagram stories, but I also want to run automatic placements to get the best ROI possible, which is why we've leveraged something called placement asset customization. So as you check the box for all our placements, you can also go within Ads Manager and put in a bespoke, unique creative for stories that leverages things like stickers, emojis, overlays that are native to that platform. But you also can have custom creative for Instagram versus Facebook, feed versus stories, etc. And this is something that will drive better performance, as that creative will resonate more with that given audience on that given placement or platform. So within placement asset customization, you can easily go within the UI and check the different placements and then begin to assign a unique creative for each placement. This is extremely powerful, and this will allow you to stay within your own brand guidelines and make sure your guidelines are resonating with the given audience, but also drive better performance and better delivery based on leveraging creative best practices for that given placement. So you can choose edit placements within Ads Manager and select the placements where you want your ads shown. But our best practice is to stay opted into every single placement, but we do give you that flexibility. And then after that, you're able to go in and customize your assets by each given placement during the ad creation period. So what are some considerations for custom assets for placements? One, you want to choose creative that matches the recommended aspect ratio. And then three, understand that engagement, catalog, sales, store visits, and page likes at the moment do not support asset customization, but they're on our roadmap for the next half. So these are all the available placements for custom assets, where you can actually go in and make bespoke assets within an automatic placements campaign. Also, if you're concerned about brand safety and opting into certain placements like Audience Network or InStream, we allow category blocking. We also provide a pre-campaign publisher list where you can review a complete list of publishers. And then also a domain app block list to stop your ads from appearing on specific websites, apps, or pages. As we know, brand safety is a huge concern for a lot of advertisers, and we're allowing these different controls to help protect and understand where your brand will show up within our family of apps. So things to remember when actually getting started. One, customize the creative asset to better match the viewing behavior of each placement. Ads and Audience Network use the same images as Facebook. Ensure that you have sufficient campaign budget and target a large audience. And now you can actually run ads on Instagram without having an Instagram account. And just to wrap things up, use automatic placements to help maximize your results as a media buying best practice to improve your campaign performance, but also expand your reach across multiple placements into more people, and also to find more people on mobile and the mobile experience. But also now you can extend your creative across all different platforms in a way that's unique and bespoke. So next steps, and the one thing I want to stress to all of you is, one, make sure that when you're running campaigns to enable automatic placements to get the best outcomes, but also set up split tests to optimize your placements to understand what's working and what's not working. And then continuously test and upload new creative to optimize on what's working for your given audience. Thank you, and I'm going to turn it over to Farah.
Okay, so this is Samantha again with Digiday. I just want to launch a quick poll for the audience. So we want to ask everyone, are you using Instagram stories in your paid social ad campaigns today? So we're going to give you guys a minute or two to look at the poll, answer, and we'll share the results. So it looks like about 80% of our current attendees have voted. So just last chance, we're going to close the poll in a couple of seconds. Okay, great. So there you have it with the results. And now I'm going to pass this off to Farah. Okay. All right, Farah, over to you.
Awesome, thank you. And I just want to make sure everyone can see my screen. I guess, Digiday, are you able to see my screen as kind of a gut check?
Excuse me. Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome, perfect.
Actually, Farah, we're not able to see it yet.
Okay, let's try it now. What about now?
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, thank you, everyone. As a reminder, my name is Farah, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Marin. Today, I'm going to talk about different ways to be more strategic and engaging with Instagram stories, including best practices. From there, we'll actually segue into a customer success story we've recently seen with Instagram stories here at Marin with a company named Deezer. And then lastly, we'll touch a little bit about how Marin can help deliver performance for advertisers who are running on social as well as other marketing channels. So first things first, if you're ever wondering if Instagram advertising actually works, or you're evaluating the reach or the impact or scale, there are a few relevant statistics I was able to find on the Instagram business page that I think are worth sharing. I know Jamil touched on a few of these, but I definitely think they're worth reiterating. So first things first, Instagram has 1 billion monthly active users. So of the social networks, only Facebook and YouTube have more people logging in. 8 out of 10 users are following a business on Instagram. So there are a number of businesses who are cultivating a really strong brand presence on this channel. 500 million Instagram accounts use Instagram stories every day. So stories are becoming an increasingly popular format to convey brand messaging and more information about a company's products or services. And then last, 1 out of 3 most viewed Instagram stories are from businesses. So it's pretty obvious that stories are working for brands. They are resonating with users, unless of course you're not telling any. So with growth and exposure like this, it really is a no-brainer to incorporate Instagram stories into your social marketing strategy. At Marin, we recommend using stories to give users the opportunity to engage directly with your brand, build brand loyalty, generate new customers, but you can also use it to give your brand a voice, right? Help humanize your brand and speak about relatable topics and current trends. Similar to Instagram feed, Instagram stories are also discoverable, which means that people who don't follow you can still see your content and your posts. So this can be a great opportunity to reach a new audience and express your ideas more uniquely. So now that we've talked about the why and the scale and the reach, let's dig in a little bit deeper and see how you can convert users into loyal fans and eventually paying customers. So what to showcase in your Instagram stories for the highest engagement? This is really based off my direct experiences with advertisers and success stories that I've seen, both here at Marin and at previous jobs, but also what I see and resonate with when following brands myself on Instagram. So first thing you always want to show, by far the most important, products and services. What are you selling and what differentiates you in the marketplace? What is your business's value add? Event experiences. So we've seen that sharing videos of your events will make users feel like they're really part of the experience, even if they're not able to attend. So your followers are a lot more likely to convert into loyal fans if they have a clear view of what your company is all about. You're able to bring a lot more transparency to your business, and you'll have the opportunity to build deeper connections and that trustworthiness with your community. Deals and promotions, we are all familiar with this one. Everyone loves a good deal. Once users start to notice that stories are an outlet for you to market different exclusive offers, they'll continue to stay engaged and continue to look to your Instagram stories or your account for additional deals. Industry news. Staying up to date with current trends or movements really shows that your brand is a thought leader in the space, right? So finding a brand with the same moral compass continues to be a really important consideration factor for users when purchasing. Connections with influencers. Jamil spoke about this a little bit earlier. Influencer marketing is becoming increasingly important. We live in a time where people adore people of influence and therefore their choice of brands, what they like to do, which activities they engage in. So definitely worth incorporating influencer marketing into your strategy. And if you are thinking about influencer marketing, good ways to track those success metrics include unique hashtags or promo codes for that specific campaign. Collaborations and takeovers with other brands. So this is exactly what it sounds like. Takeovers typically involve a brand temporarily taking over your Instagram account and giving followers a look inside your company or products from a new perspective. So think of it as sharing a day in the life, right? You're giving your followers a sneak peek into your host's life for a day. So this can just as well be an influencer as much as a brand, but we do recommend announcing the upcoming takeover in your feed so you can get enough exposure into the collaboration. And then lastly, one that I think is really valuable, especially for B2B marketers, company culture. So give people a taste of what it's like to work with you. How do your employees represent your brand? And what's it like to work at your company on a day-to-day? And remember, you have the creative liberty to be whoever you want, especially since everything disappears after a day. So use this time to be spontaneous and transparent. So we just talked about the what you should be showcasing in your stories, but what about the how you should be displaying your content and in which formats? So video marketing, I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with, but this provides a lot of value and is growing in popularity on stories. So videos allow you to tell a much longer narrative, but you also get a lot more opportunities to engage with your audience. I chose this H&M example because I think they do a really great job. You notice the light wear of the shirt, it's really breezy outside, the shirt itself looks really comfortable, but there's something to the aesthetics and the environment as well, right? That makes it makes the content really enticing, and you sort of see yourself asking, you know, where is this guy? Boomerangs. So for those of you who don't know, boomerangs are a short 1 to 3 second burst of pictures that look like they're going forward and backwards. So the recommendation here is to use the movement of something really simple and turn it into something special. And just be sure to spread these out because they are fun, but too many of them can be a little overwhelming. So I use this Benefit Cosmetics example here. They do a really great job with being quick and relevant with that swift mascara swipe. So again, something simple into something special that really aligns with your brand messaging. Hyperlapse. So this enables you to create really cool and complex time-lapse videos right on your phone. So I think there's two ways that brands can think about this. One, you can show users the full process of creating a product. So demonstrate the development and the behind-the-scenes footage of making a specific product through different phases, and then showcase the final presentation. Another way I think is good in terms of utilizing hyperlapse is creating buzz for new products. So I picked Foot Locker here because they're doing exactly that. They're giving their followers a sneak peek of the new Kobe 9s before they were released. User-generated content. So this is when your fans post pictures or videos with your products, and then you actually repost them to your brand story. So we've seen that this really helps in making fans feel happy and honored to be part of your brand's messaging. I use this Blue Bottle Coffee Company example because they're really creative in how they're using user-generated content. So instead of sharing the original Instagram post, they're actually uploading the original photo from the post to stories and then tagging the photographer. And because they want to create that brand consistency and that same look and feel of their paid content, they curate this content to make it look more like a lookbook or a photo shoot. So just a creative way to think about user-generated content. And then some other great tools and great features on Instagram stories to help increase engagement from users. We talked about interactivity earlier. I know Jamil touched on polls, but I want to dig into this one a little bit deeper because we have seen a lot of great success with these. So polls are essentially surveys for your followers. They are great for engagement. They are a great way to market research, build out your content strategy. And so when I say that, I'm thinking, showcase your product catalog and then show users different options from the catalog and ask them to vote for their favorites. So depending on their answers, you can incorporate this into your paid media strategy and then showcase similar products that your customers really want to see. So in this example, HelloFresh is, asking their users and checking to see which recipes or food creations might resonate best with its audience. And then depending on the answers, they can use these types of insights and help inform their paid media strategy moving forward. Hashtags. I'm sure everyone is familiar with hashtags, but just a reminder to incorporate hashtags into all of your content. These are great for random discovery of a brand, and they really allow you to connect with users who may have not been familiar with your brand prior. Instagram story stickers. So these give your content a really fun look. They add a lot of interactivity. They make your content less static, less boring. And this can range from GIFs to geoparameters to questions. I picked this next for example because they do a really great job of reminding users that you can use this platform to ask questions that they have about their products. So I think one thing to reiterate about stories is that not everything has to be about a sale or conversion. Use this to engage with your audience and really build out that connection and that community with your followers. The reality is that there are a lot of considerations to factor in today's purchase journey. And making it easy for your customers to ask questions across multiple channels, including stories, can prove to be really favorable for your brand. Instagram story highlights. So unlike regular Instagram stories that vanish after 24 hours, Instagram story highlights actually live permanently on your profile. So they live front and center on your Instagram profile. So they're perfect for helping new visitors discover what your company is all about. But it's also the perfect place to direct your followers, your community, to your most valuable and interesting content. I talked about brand collaborations and takeovers earlier. This is a great place to post that content and have it housed permanently on your profile. I used Airbnb as an example. You'll notice that one of their highlights is called Travel Tuesday. And so each Tuesday, the stories follow the same formula. Airbnb will post a few clues about their location by sharing pictures and interesting facts and statistics. And then they actually leverage a poll with 2 destinations to choose from, and they ask the viewers to take a guess on the location. Later on in the day, Airbnb will reveal the right answer. They'll, continue to share amazing photos of the travel destination. And this is great for brand awareness because you're reminding travelers about possible destinations with Airbnb, but you're also creating a lot of memorable engagement with your followers every week at a normal cadence. So I thought that was a really good example to share. And then lastly, Instagram story links. So if you have a verified account or if you are running a business profile and have more than 10,000 followers, you can actually add a swipe up link to your story. So previously, Instagram, I think, was seen as more of a top of the funnel awareness tool. This actually gives Instagram the opportunity to be a direct selling tool. So when users link within their story, It creates a much smoother customer experience, and it brings them directly to the site mentioned rather than having them navigate to the bio before visiting the URL. So here I use ACE as an example. They have some good content highlighting Ray-Ban sunglasses, which they actually sell on their website. So you'll see here they give you the option to swipe up to shop, and it makes it really easy for the user to navigate to the product page and purchase directly from the site without having to X out. So we've talked about the why, the what, and the how. Now I want to share a success story about Deezer, who is a customer of Marin and saw a lot of success with Instagram stories and with the help of Marin Social. So for those of you who don't know, Deezer is an international music streaming service. They have over 50 million tracks readily available, headquartered in France. They were already running on Instagram feed, and engagement was pretty steady, but they also wanted to engage with a younger audience on Instagram and really focus on driving app installs at a more cost-effective CPA. So they decided to test out Instagram stories and implement a more creative and personalized engagement approach. So over the course of 2 months, we saw great results, including a 43% increase in the number of app installs, as well as a 50% decrease in CPA. And from a creative standpoint, Deezer actually incorporated a lot of the best practices we've previously covered. So first and foremost, they had a promotion, try Deezer Premium for 1 month, free of charge. This deal really hooked users in and gave them exposure to the app to then convert them into loyal customers. A lot of content variety and A/B testing featuring dozens of different artists. This gave the team really great insight into which creatives were actually resonating with their users and driving those app installs, resulting in much smarter creative budget allocation. So a lot of diversity there in terms of the content that they were producing. And then finally, Instagram story stickers, also something we covered. Deezer did a great job with making their content really splashy and interactive with text, GIFs, and emoji overlays. So we talked about creative execution. Now I want to dig in a little bit deeper about how the Marin Social platform helped drive performance for Deezer. So in Marin Social, there are a lot of workflow efficiencies, including bulk upload, mass editor, rules-based optimization. These efficiencies really help the team focus less on the day-to-day operations and fulfillment of configuring social ads, and more on impactful things for the growth of their business, such as creative strategy and A/B testing. Customizable dashboards and reporting. Marin has a very malleable and flexible reporting dashboard, and it makes it really easy for our users to garner actionable insights from. So as the team grew accounts with testing multiple creatives, artists, placements, optimization goals, these dashboards made it really easy for the team to have a clear view of the best performing Instagram stories and the best performing optimization techniques. And then lastly, seamless integration with third-party data and tracking providers. Marin is an open platform. Our advertisers and agencies can pull in revenue, audience, contextual data from pretty much anyone with integrations that are already in place, which allows for us to ramp up quicker and optimize bidding, for across channels for lifetime value and business goals and KPIs. And then lastly, what I personally deem to be the most valuable is that any of our social customers, including Deezer, also have access to our cross-channel offering. This is known as Marin One. So if you are an advertiser and you're running social and search, and maybe you're a retailer and you're running e-commerce on Google Shopping and Amazon, there is a way to manage all of your paid advertising efforts from one platform. So in Marin One, you can see how your different channels are performing against one another in a single view. You have access to automated cross-channel budget allocation. You can drive incremental revenue by using our search intent capability, or incorporate, Marin One bidding, which is our really powerful bidding algorithm that includes dynamic clustering and custom variables, so on and so forth. So Again, for advertisers like Deezer, we do consider ourselves a performance layer on top of publisher tools like Facebook and like Google to really help them deliver growth. And that wraps up my part of the presentation. I hope everyone found that to be valuable. It looks like we have about 10 minutes here to answer any questions the audience may have for Jamil and I, but thank you for the time.
All right, thank you so much, Jamil and Farah, for all of your great insights. So just a reminder for all of our attendees, the full recording of the webinar will be made available to you in a follow-up email tomorrow. So we're now going to move on to the Q&A portion of the webinar. So to start things off, we have a question here that asks, do you have examples of B2B marketers running successful campaigns on Instagram?
Yeah, I can take this, and Jamil, you can add on. I have personally seen a lot of success stories with B2B marketers on Instagram. I think if you're looking for, tangible examples, Oracle does a really great job. They have a lot of thought-provoking commentary about tech and the future of it. Companies like Adobe, General Electric, IBM, MailChimp, they do a lot of office and employee highlights. So again, they really focus on that company culture and really help captivate their followers.
Yeah, just to quickly chime in, I think from like an advertiser buying objective standpoint, we've seen a lot of B2B spend and what we call our lead ad objective, where you can generate leads and then follow up with other businesses that you're trying to interact with. And we have case studies within lead ads, and you can check that out either on our Facebook for Business website or our Instagram for Business website.
Great. So this person asks, how important is it for advertisers to leverage user-generated content on Instagram?
I guess I can jump in really quickly on this one. I think just taking a step back, any creative that feels unique and native to any given platform within our family of apps and services will be baked into what we call like creative best practices. I think what's native to Instagram, is content that is generated by your loyal followers from an organic experience. And we've seen a lot of like hashtag searching where brands are trying to figure out like what users are saying or what users are posting in relation to hashtags about their business. And then they're reaching out to that consumer to see if they can get permission to leverage that content for a marketing campaign. So I say all that to say, like, it is considered a best practice, but it's also something that can be unique from advertiser to advertiser. And you should leverage our split testing tool to see, does user generated content work for you versus traditional content? And that's something you can leverage our split testing tool for.
Yeah, and
Great.
just to
So this
add,
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead,
I
Farah.
was just going to say, just to add to that, the reality is that people are sharing more than ever before, and they look to their network for a lot of recognition and validation, and people are using visuals as means of communicating now. So I do think there's something really valuable with showcasing stories from your followers, because it really builds out that community and it builds out that trust, and it makes your stakeholders feel happy and like they're an important part of the conversation. So yeah, I definitely agree with the split testing, but I do see a lot of value with the user generated content, and I think more advertisers should definitely leverage it.
Great. So actually a couple people have asked this question. People are wondering if there are any plans to roll out polling and stories for paid ads.
Yes, we actually rolled that out in March, and that exists in paid ads as of now.
Great. So someone else wonders, what kind of metrics on interactive ads, like polls and questions and stuff, does Instagram share with advertisers?
So at the moment, we only share like what percent was answered for any given poll question. We don't provide any personally identifiable information to do any type of retargeting or custom audiences at the moment. But you can also see all the traditional metrics that you would see from any other type of campaign, in addition to seeing what percent of people have engaged with one question or another.
So someone is asking if there are any insights for a B2B company that is getting ready to launch Instagram for the first time.
It's a great question. I know like our best resource is our Instagram for Business page, and you can search B2B, you can search lead ads, which is our advertiser buying objective that usually has a high preponderance of people on the B2B space leveraging. I can't speak from firsthand experiences as I'm more B2C in my day-to-day, but there are resources directly on our IG for Business page.
Yeah, and just to add to that, we have a customer, a B2B customer at Marin who's looking to leverage stories. And I know some of the creative recommendations we put through are really focusing on maybe some behind the scenes footage and spotlights on their employees. But again, I don't have too much direct access to it. So to Jamil's point, I think that the Instagram or Facebook for Business is definitely a good tool to reference.
So we have a question specifically for Jamil asking, how do you balance automatic placement with placement-specific bespoke content and assets?
Yes, I think the beautiful thing about the new product that we've had in market for about 6 months now, which is placement asset customization, is that you no longer have to make that trade-off. In the past, advertisers would have to try to use one single piece of creative across all the placements when using automatic placements. But now you can go directly into Ads Manager and customize across every single placement a unique piece of bespoke creative. So that trade-off is no longer needed, and you can now make creative that's native across all of our multiple placements, and then actually see the breakout in the reporting on how each of those placements have performed. But from a best practices standpoint, we always encourage you to look at the aggregate campaign performance because that's where you're looking for the most efficiencies.
So someone is wondering if to run an Instagram story ad with a poll, do I need to post it organically on Instagram first?
You do not. You can actually build it directly within an Ads Manager.
Great. Someone else is asking, are custom audiences / lookalike audiences effective in Instagram story ad spend?
It's a great question. It depends, from advertiser to advertiser. I think we've seen across the board, no matter the platform or placement, that engagement custom audiences are effective, and we've seen it on stories. But it's something that's going to be based on region, targeting, specific advertiser vertical, et cetera, which is why we always encourage to leverage the split testing tool to actually see, or we even have a conversion lift tool as well that will actually measure and allow you to do experimentation to see how that an engagement custom audience campaign stacks up against a campaign without engagement custom audiences.
So someone is asking for, excuse me, any specific success examples on stories promoting long cycle purchase products such as the vehicle industry.
Great question. This also falls very much within our lead ads objective, where you see certain advertisers like the BMWs of the world that have longer purchase cycles. And we have a lot of case studies on our Instagram for Business website for lead ads that have longer purchase cycle and can kind of discuss what are the outcomes that we've been driving for businesses. So there's more resources there as well.
Great. Someone's asking if custom creative can be implemented retroactively or if they need to create new ads from scratch.
This can actually be done retroactively. So you can go back to campaigns retroactively and enable them in automatic placements, and also enable placement asset customization.
So this is kind of a interesting broad question, but helpful. They're asking, what is unique about the Instagram audience versus Facebook or other channels?
It's a really good question, and we get this question a lot from advertisers. I think what's unique about Instagram versus Facebook is you can kind of see we have certain geos and markets where they're predominantly more Instagram focused. So markets obviously like Japan and Russia are more Instagram focused. But quite frankly, when we look at the demographic, psychographic breakdown, as Instagram grows, that Venn diagram of what's different for Instagram versus Facebook from an audience standpoint is beginning to blur. And which is also why we're encouraging our advertisers to buy automatic placements, because our backend algorithms will determine what your targeting is and then deliver to Instagram or Facebook based on that advertiser objective, where we think our probabilistic models will say an outcome will be driven. That way we can take away the complexity of advertisers like yourself having to figure out, is Facebook better for my audience? Is Instagram better for my audience? Is stories better for our audience? Because our backend algorithm will only deliver in the most ROI positive means to the right placement at the right time based on your targeting parameters.
So it looks like this is going to be our final question. Someone asks, does the interactivity work for all advertisers? I haven't seen it as an option. How do you use it?
Yes, interactivity works for all advertisers. If you go into Ads Manager in the placements, you can only buy standalone for interactivity, so you can't use automatic placements or placement optimization. So you would have to uniquely select the Instagram stories and then the polling unit to build an ad there.
All right. I think that's just about all the time we have today. But before we wrap up, do you have any other insights that you'd like to share, Jamil or Farah?
No, I think that's it from my side. I think the user base on Instagram is just really diverse. It's a really simple app to use. There's only so many posting options, and I think it can be found appealing to all age demographics. So definitely utilize it in your day-to-day marketing strategy.
And then just to add on that, if you want a risk-free way to leverage Instagram stories, use automatic placements, as this will ensure that you will get the best delivery. But also, if creative is a blocker for you, we also have new native templates where you can take your feed assets and directly port them over to a template. So if creative is a blocker, and if you're worried about ROI and efficiencies before trying stories, automatic placements plus our native templates will give you a risk-free opportunity to try stories.
Okay, great. So that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again to Jamil and Farah, and of course to our partner Marin. And thank you to all of those who joined us today. We hope you learned something. Keep an eye in your inboxes tomorrow for a link to the recording, which you can watch on demand. Thanks again, and please enjoy the rest of your day.